Are we
Yes,
in
we are
space?
on.
Are we in
We are in
space or on
space.
Earth? I know you're in space, Larry, after the Pleiadians took you away on their spaceship very unexpectedly, and we're about 35 minutes late, but I'm glad you made it back and they dropped you off, and here we are. And George Myler is saying, woohoo!
Yeah, really, it's funny because I was stressing it a lot. I was trying to get on air, but I kept thinking like a couple times through it. I'm like, someone was nagging at me, telling me this must be for a reason. It must be, for a reason.
Everything is for a
Yeah.
reason. That's my philosophy and sort of the way I live life. There are no accidents, even though everything can look like an accident, but there are really no accidents. There's a reason and a plan for everything. And it's just that everybody wasn't here yet. And
That's amazing. That's amazing. You feel that calm, boss.
Yeah. Everyone just wasn't here yet.
I agree. I feel like it's, yeah.
And it just wasn't time yet. We had to start when it was time, and this is the right time. So I'm not sure how many people are listening in live. I know George Myler is in the, what do you call that? The group where you made the announcement and you put the picture of me in back of my music keyboard and equipment working on wires, the cabling. That's so funny. You posted that picture right in the middle of my Comes the Awakening album. And I was wondering, what is Larry thinking? Because I'm trying to grapple with all these cables and wires with this headline going, Comes the Awakening. So
well, that's a good way to put it. I was really thinking that it went well together. That was I just got, for some reason, the consciousness. I saw that you had that picture on your timeline, and I don't know.
Yeah,
it felt like I needed to do that, and at the same time get that banner in there too. I was kind of, it's more my lack of expert designing than anything, but yes. Yeah,
well, at least you got my album cover for that music. That music Comes the Awakening. The same title. I titled it the same as my book, Comes the Awakening. But the rest of the title of my book is Realizing the Divine Nature of Who You Are. So if we can all just realize that about ourselves now, even though we're late and we get shook up and stressed, we really do have a divine part of ourselves. And trying to figure out where to start after our initial 35 minutes being late.
Yeah, I'm just calm now. I'm calm now. I was really stressed out, but I really appreciate your words, and I'm just really calm. And we could start out really wherever you'd like.
Yeah, let's all just breathe in light, breathe in light. Things. Yeah, just breathe in. I'm also, besides the music that I do and this book and all the websites and everything, the Pleiadian channeling, I'm also a certified hypnotherapist. So we could take 30 minutes and do hypnotherapy and calm ourselves down. And anybody listening. Yeah, no, not really. Everyone will start falling asleep.
No, I was going to say, I'm glad you said that, because I was going to hold you to it. I was going to hold you to it, Nikki.
I was once on a radio show. I'm often on Terry Hawk's radio show in England with my music and interviews. And one day he decided to play my little hypnosis piece. It's about 13 minutes long, and it's on SoundCloud. It's been there for years, and I have it for download. And I used it during the days when I actually saw clients. I'm not practicing that now. I'm practicing music basically, and whenever the P thing comes up. But he thought it would be a good idea to play that. And at 13 minutes, I it really got to him. I think he went zonko, and it started skipping, and the whole studio sort of went crazy, and everyone just fell into this nice little peaceful trance. and and I reminded him later, you're not supposed to play a hypnosis piece on the air because people could be driving or anything, and then whoop, zoom, away they go.
Yeah, and you know what, Leah, I do have to say that meditation, you sent it to me one time a long time ago when I was having a stressful night admitting, and I'll tell you what, I could totally see that. I said the only critique about that is it should be about a half hour longer. I mean, no, I put it on though. It's amazing. People have to check this out. It was, you'll want to put it on a loop playlist.
Yeah, I made it that short because it was once on I used to have a hip zone site when I was practicing hypnotherapy, and so I made it short especially for that. But one of these days I should make a long one. I mean, I've done plenty of that, and somehow it can go hand in hand with the Pleiadian energies. When I used to have clients, and we'd talk and talk, first do a bit of therapy and then move into the hypnosis part of it, and I got a lot of energies from that P realm. And speaking of the P realm, I call them the P's these days instead of the whole word, Pleiadians. Yeah. My feeling is many of us are at various levels of, I hate to say awareness, or in our evolutionary process here on planet Earth. And when I first started tuning in to the P's, which was back in Tokyo, Japan, maybe I'll tell you that story in just a little bit. I believed in aliens, and I thought, wow, this is aliens. Whoa, I'm tuning in, and I thought it was just a purely physical thing. In fact, I started writing my book, Comes the Awakening, Realizing the Divine Nature of Who You Are. And as I started writing it, I didn't fully grasp what was going on, and I didn't even fully grasp what I was writing because I felt like it wasn't me writing. I'd just write it, the words would all come to me. And that's how, whenever I write this, and I just wrote 8 blogs, Pleiadian blogs, to go with my songs for the new album, Pleiadian Arrival to Earth. But anyway, in the beginning, that was, I think, about 20 years ago, maybe 18. The only thing I'm not good at is math, and years, because in my mind, time doesn't really exist, and that's a whole other story. We could go for hours on this as I jump from story to story. But anyway.
Hey, Leah, can I ask you a quick question? Not to interrupt along those lines, but as far as that goes back then, can you consciously remember where you might have first heard that term Pleiadian or Pleiades? Like was it just, the energy you felt, or did you see it in a book one time or hear it on the radio like I did on a fluke? I mean, I've always been meaning to ask you that, and I know I usually ask people that question.
That is a good question. And now I'm trying to think. There I was in Tokyo, Japan, teaching English, and so we didn't have, I didn't have access to books, and the internet had just come along. What year was that? 1997 or 98 or something. But I was on the internet, one of the first on the internet, because in the compound we lived on, we had the internet. So I may have seen it in one of the groups. That was the very beginning days. But it was when I was teaching English and working one day in the American military hotel. And I write about that in my hardback book, and the part about me, and the Kindle version, I left that out, because that part about me, because a lot of my life has changed in 20 years. But in the hard book, which you have, I talk about teaching English, and we were teaching English in Japan involved just various topics. They just needed to practice their English. They knew English, so it was just talking and socializing and sometimes therapy type work. And one day I was writing on the blackboard, and it was something spiritual I was talking about, but I felt very excited about it. And so it was later on that this very pretty, sparkling, round-faced Japanese woman approached me. She came in, and she worked there in the banquet section. But she looked like an alien, and I always thought maybe she really was, because she's the one that really got me started. And she had this mysterious smile on her face and a twinkle in her eye, and her English wasn't quite as good as everyone else's, but she came up to me quietly when my group had left, and she said, "You are light. You will have a mission in the world." And I'm going, "Me? No, I don't think so." But I didn't say that, but her name was Shigeko, and we became friends, and she encouraged me to listen to my heart and write down what I heard. Well, I was a writer. I'd written columns for newspapers and magazines and everything, but I'd never written anything like she was trying to encourage me to write. So every day I'd come into work and she'd say, "Have you started writing?" And every day I'd say, "No." And then she began to tell me about UFOs and aliens and pyramids and many other strange and wondrous things. And at the time, I was a born-again Christian, but I always sort of leaned that way. And I had about 13 years in my really hardcore born-again Christian realm, which was really good. I learned a lot, and I still believe in a lot, and just kind of put it all together. But maybe she mentioned the Pleiadians, or maybe I heard it online in the group, a couple of groups, and one was a UFO group. Maybe I heard the term, but in the meantime, when I'd start going to sleep at night, words just came to me. I started hearing words in my head, and it's like I started sleep learning. And then I kept a pad and a pen by the bedside, and I'd wake up and I'd write down things like I heard, "We work within the layers of your consciousness," and all these things like that. And soon I had scraps of paper with all I had written. And so the next time I went into work, I don't know how long it was, maybe a week or two, and Shigeko had said, "Have you started writing?" And I smiled and I said, "Yes." And then she was happy, very happy, of course. And so one day I sat down at my computer, felt extremely compelled to write something. And since I'd always been a writer, but this time it was a bit different. And then the words started coming in my mind. I didn't even have to think, just whole sentences. And my fingers were flying, just writing down what I heard. So you ask, when did I first hear the word Pleiadians? And everything was happening so fast, my acceleration then, and at the same time, I don't know if they were visions or dreams or real, but I was seeing like copper-colored UFOs coming up out of the water there in Japan, and just lots going on, and her encouraging me. And I started writing this, and I knew it was the Pleiadians. It was a bit unsettling to me because I felt like my religion was slipping away. What's the song, "Losing My Religion"? And as I started delving into this world, and I just wrote and wrote and wrote, and that's the book that's been out there for, again, numbers. It's over 15 years, and I always mean to write another one. I did start another one, but I keep making music. I love to make music, as you might know.
Yeah, exactly. And it's all a timing issue, like you say. I was just on a side note thinking about that the other day, that we were talking, and you had always planned to write a second book, but then the music came along, and that'll happen too when the time's right. But yeah, your music, that's just incredible. I mean, how you just you just got the consciousness to start making this, or were you always musically inclined like this?
Yeah, I was. I was always musically inclined. Well, I'm a creative person. I was hesitating. I'm reading that in the group. People are going, George going in the group, which I don't even know where this group is on Facebook, but he's going, woohoo, relax, everyone here loves you. So I need to click like on his stuff. But anyway, multitasking. But I've always been a creative person. I always been, well, once I learned how to read and write, when I was first new on the earth for about the first 10 or 11 years, I could not read or write at all. And I'd say this stupid little girl. But then suddenly one day I started getting A's on my spelling test, and I've been writing ever since. So I always wrote, and I was always artistic. I can paint, and always dabbling in music. And both my parents were very musical. And so I've always played a guitar or taken lessons, but it was maybe around the same time, maybe about 18 years ago, I encountered a Korg keyboard when I remarried. Through all of this time, I went through a divorce after 23 years, moved from Japan to Washington, D.C., to L.A., Las Vegas. And so during this time, this my new husband had this keyboard that he had bought, Korg keyboard, really nice, sitting there, but he couldn't play it. He just bought it for the drums, but he gave up on the drums, and I just sat down and started fooling around with it. And I'd fooled around with keyboards, guitars, and things before. I was really excited, started doing some things, and then I got connected with a guy in Sweden, Pelle Handen, and he was an actual musician. And so we got to be friends, and we're still very good friends. And he started coming to America about every year, and we started working on a music project. But I was the singer then. I had no idea how to actually produce music and mix it, how to get on. This was a new way of making music. If you've seen my pictures, it's you find the sounds, you reprogram them, you get it going, and you make a track. And I color all my tracks. All my vocal tracks are pink, and my drum tracks are blue, and then I color all the rest. But my brain really took to these visuals. Oh, and I really skipped an important part along this journey. After I was divorced, in between my marriages and in the middle of the book, I got meningitis in my late 40s, and got meningitis of all things. And I was just about to land my dream job as a copy editor, as a magazine in Washington, D.C. And but at the time, it affected my brain. It was viral meningitis, not bacterial. And they say that that's not as bad, but it is bad. It can be very bad. I almost died and tested 2 weeks later at below kindergarten level. So but at the same time, my brain seemed to take to the computer. I had taken some website classes, how to create websites, and I had started creating websites, all my Pleiadian websites. I had one of the first Pleiadian websites. Oh, actually, I was going to get the URL Pleiadians.com. So we went to do that, and the day before, Barbara Marciniak got it. And so I was so disappointed, because I had been thinking about it, and I guess we both were thinking about it. So I had to get Pleiadians.net, which has been going for over 15 years, and it's linked up to almost 38,000 other websites. Every day it gets up 500 to 900 hits, and it's Pleiadians.net. But after this meningitis, it's like my brain circuitry started changing. I had forgotten how to cook, how to drive, how to do regular things, but I was sitting there creating websites, learning music later on in the next couple of years, and anything technical I could do. But I'd forgotten how to make a salad. But if I'd see someone make a salad, I'd see my husband make a salad. I go, oh, I remember that. And then I'd make salads for the next year. But through that time, I completed the book, and then during the succeeding years, I went to school to learn hypnotherapy up near San Francisco and got certified for that. So I was doing all these things at once and had the book out. Oh, and I had written, have you ever heard of the magazine, the Sedona Journal of Emergence? It's published in Sedona, and they sell it in the bookstores. What bookstores are left? What bookstores are left? Barnes and Noble or Borders? I'm not sure what's left. but they sell it, and I had written about 9 articles for them, and then one day I got busy with the music.
I cut out. Sorry, I cut out for a second. But yeah, you asked me about a magazine. No, I had not heard of it. Sorry.
Okay, what's a great magazine? It's full of channelers, all the people that do channeling work. And I wrote about 7 to 9 articles, which were also online on my sites, and we're getting them moved. I'm not sure they're on Pleiadians.net. Anyway, during all of these years and having meningitis mingled in there with it, and then I ended up really focusing on the music. One day I went to this astrologer here in the Palm Springs area. I was on a radio show for about 5 years as a co-host or as a guest or as a host once when she got stuck in a hurricane back east. And on the radio for 5 years, and would talk mainly about hypnotherapy. But it was during that time that I was also delving into music. So when my clients would come over, I'd have my keyboard out, and I had some young people, and they'd be really curious, and I'd take them up to the keyboard and show them a few things that I did. But also during that time, I sort of left the Pleiadian website sort of hanging there, and during the years it just gained momentum and more momentum, and then finally we renewed it because it was so old. It's all revamped and everything, and we're getting my music on there, the albums, so the original question you had asked about when did I first hear the word Pleiadian, and so I can't remember exactly when I first, but I think after the meningitis, I was so prolific with writing that all I could do was sit there and write and do the website. So I had 3 websites. I had lialight.com, which was really huge, and it had more material, and there was just nothing out there like that. And some people may remember lialight.com, and we've tried to merge that and Lia Shapiro all in with Pleiadians.net, but it's a massive amount of material. And so I always felt like, well, it was the divine plan, I guess, that I got meningitis, or I would have never settled down long enough to write all that. I've been hopping all over the place and not focused. And it's just continued to grow over the years. And I feel like a lot of people kind of spun off of that early. Barbara Marciniak's site was there. I don't think there was a lot of information on hers. I put a lot. And I put chapters of my book, and divided it all up and everything. And so I kind of left that and delved off into the music, got really serious. I'm under contract for the music. I got discovered by a Sugo Music Group. It's a US-based music publishing company that's been established for 30 years. And so I'm under contract to produce music, and that really motivates me to do that. So I'm really happy to do that. And as well, I may even make some money, which I desperately need. Because as we all know, living on planet Earth and existing here, we can't do it without money.
Yeah.
Is your connection okay?
It's out of this world.
Your connection?
Yeah. Did I break up?
I think so. Yeah. All I heard was it's out of this world. Yeah, I asked. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was just going to say your music is amazing, and I just often have wondered wait
a minute, Larry, I just lost you.
Mix, I mean, did that just come to you through consciousness during this time?
Wait a minute, I lost a few words there. What came through to me through consciousness?
Yeah, your music. I mean, it's just so cutting edge and like futuristic.
Oh gosh, yeah, I think so. As I was talking about working with this guy from Sweden, I would watch how he made the music and the tracks, and I just absorbed and learned it with my new brain after the meningitis. And my first album is called We Are Here, and I had intentions for that to be sort of Pleiadian or alien-like. I'm not sure it is. Some of the songs are, and they all have my vocals on it, but it's not quite like my later music. The albums I've done lately, especially this Pleiadian Arrival to Earth album, just released, and I made 7 songs for the 7 stars, and that definitely felt channeled like it did when I wrote and just let myself go. We all have that capability if we just breathe in and just let ourselves go, let it go. And I always say a little prayer just to be sure that the goodness, the good stuff comes in. And then it's like I just tune in, tune out. Is that how they used to say it, or tune out, tune in? And
turn on, tune in, and drop out.
there. You, okay, you're older than me.
Yeah.
No, you're not. No, you're not really.
No.
But you know. But yeah, that's with this latest album, and actually the Comes the Awakening album, and I named that the same title as my book. That was the same thing. And there's only, there's 4 songs on that. That's what's called an EP. It's a short album. Where this Pleiadian Arrival to Earth album, it's an actual album. It's almost an hour long, and I wanted it to be a longer album. But that one, people are comparing that music to, I'm not sure if these names are as familiar to Americans, Tangerine Dream and Klaus Schulze. But and I can just be awed by it when people compare it to those, because Klaus Schulze was with Tangerine Dream and it's considered the father of electronic music. And I went, what? I've had people say it's better or just as good. And I go, wow. And it's just amazing. I got so overwhelmed and amazed. My music publisher did a pre-release a week before the actual release, and it went down into bestseller lists on Amazon, and I got so overwhelmed with it. I just had to get off Facebook for a little while, and I just couldn't believe all this that was going on, and people coming after it, and me, and radio people wanting it. So it's I'm not sure I could truly be a famous person out in the real world. I can admire those people. We just had the Coachella Festival here in the Palm Springs area. I live in the Coachella Valley, Southern California. And that's one of, if that's not the top festival in the world, it's in the top 5 at least. And just, the vibes are just amazing. And I got really inspired with that, being the creative person that I am. Last year, just living 2 miles away, the vibes were just coming in, and last year they had the Red Hot Chili Peppers. This year it was AC/DC. It was blasting forth. And so I created my own music. I wasn't at the festival, but so tuned into the energy and the vibes that I created another EP of 3 songs, and it's called Going to Coachella. So one has my vocals on it, and that's pretty good music. And Pleiadian people can like all sorts of music, no matter what it is.
Oh, for sure. It's a feeling behind it. I mean, it doesn't matter what genre it is. I mean, it's the vibration and the feeling.
Yeah. With music, it's a very particular thing. You can't, I try to be really careful on Facebook about posting my music, because you can't make people like music. They have to find it for themselves. And so I might just talk a little bit about something that I post, but people really hate it when you try to come after them with your music, I've learned. But if they discover music that they really love, no matter what it is, music is so personal. It just speaks to each of us. I can sort of feel like this Pleiadian arrival to Earth can speak to a lot of people, because it can feel somehow on the maybe familiar vibes, or I'm always seen in the group, these groups, and that big group that I have of, what is it, almost 34,000 people that I consider you the head admin of.
Yes, about 33 and a half, give or take. But yes.
Oh, gosh. Yeah, and I think we're up to 20 admins now. I've tried to change them all in my pinned post and put the correct ones in there, because some
make
come and go.
Make a big old banner for you. So.
Oh, there we go. That's what we need. Yeah, that's what we need. Oh, if we could only clone ourselves several dozen times.
Oh.
Get everything done. I don't know how you do all that you do.
The multidimensional self, all in 3D on the awakened plane. Yeah.
I know our minds fly faster than our bodies sometimes, and what we want to do.
Yeah, it certainly is strange, and I think everybody seems to be heading in that mode. I mean, time is.
I know.
Things really are changing. I mean, our bodies are really, and minds going through this evolution. Hence, in just like in the music that you create and others. In fact, I'm going to have to check out those 2 bands you mentioned, because I've never heard any kind of music like yours. And
okay, yeah. They're icons in Europe, but Europe seems to be. Their music has always been, they've always had the electronic music, and it's so interesting. I think America, we've kind of stayed rock and roll, pop, and country, and whatever.
Yeah. Victoria Pleiadian, and I mentioned that on the last show we did, it came up about the music over there from Europe, kind of along the same lines. It's always been a little bit more spacey and electronic-y, and, kind of cool for me.
Yeah, it definitely has. When I lived in Tokyo, I lived in the biggest nightlife district in the world. Everything just stacked up. We were at the embassy, and that's just where the embassy compound happened to be, up on a hill. But all this music I would hear, And it was, oh, I just loved it. But then when I went back to America, it was nowhere. And I brought a lot of it back. I bought it. So I think my influences are from living around the world. And I've lived in Africa and Kenya for 3 years, and Japan, and when I was a kid, Germany twice, and have traveled, and then Iran, the Middle East, back in the 70s. And when I was there, I didn't hear any American music except what I took with me, which wasn't much. But all I heard was the Middle Eastern music. So I think with all these worldly influences all of my life, but I've also always been able to hear music in my head. And I mean, it's not all the time, but if it happens under particular conditions, if a fan is blowing or even in the shower, there has to be a little bit of a noise factor. And I hear whole compositions, and it sounds like it's off planetary kind of music. I hear it's like a whole tribe of singers, and I can visualize, I have a memory of myself being in a tribe of like 1,000, but in the future or on another planet. That's one reason why I call my band name Alien Tribe, because it can feel like I'm a tribe within myself, or I come from a tribe, and it's off planetary. So the name Alien Tribe describes what goes on with me. And when I do vocals, I'm doing lots of my different vocals and working them in these tracks and cutting them and pasting them and mixing them to where it can sound. Not that I do tribal type music. I'm more known for dance music, but not like the typical club dance music. It's more like Alien Tribe version of music. But yeah, America, now Tangerine Dream was heard in Risky Business. That was their music, the old movie with, what was his name?
Tom Cruise.
Yeah, Tom Cruise, and a few others. But they are such icons in Europe. Everybody is a wannabe for Tangerine Dream. And I don't know if you know Andrew Dallas. He's a huge supporter of my music and just loves it and compares it to them. And he said, I said, I don't really know the music of Tangerine Dream or Klaus Schultz. He said, well, how do you create your music then? I said, well, it just comes to me. And so, but I think it's new to electronic music is new to American ears. And when you say electronic, I know my family has the hardest time. They go, oh, it's just a bunch of noises. You press buttons, and it's not. No, it's not that at all.
I was thinking that stereotype too. It's so much more than electronic. That's just the base of it. This is so intricate. And don't you think that that wide variety of music that you were subject to in your life also, I mean, it certainly must have played into this, and it's just amazing. And to call it electronic is, yeah.
I know. I
was
hate
thinking the same.
I hate to call it electronic because most people, Americans anyway, think of it that way. But why it's called electronic? Now, I think in the old days, maybe it was a bunch of noise, except in Europe, although even it was a bunch of noise then. But electronic because all the sounds are in the programs in the keyboard. As you've heard in my music, I have electric guitars, I have violins, I have horns, I have all the instruments, and they sound exactly like that instrument. And then whatever sound that I want to create it as. But I mean, I'm playing some really cool electric guitars and some of the music. And I've had a lot of lessons on how to play the keyboard so it sounds really like, you can't play the keyboard like a piano to get an electric guitar sound. You have to know how to push those keys. Fortunately, I had a good teacher here in Southern California. But yeah, but I think this kind of music, it's exciting for me to see more and more Americans tuning into it, and it can feel like it's happening a lot because of in the groups with the people, as they're listening to it, and to a lot of ears, it's something new. They go, wow, I've never heard this kind of music. Especially if they're in America.
Oh, for sure. It's like multi-dimensional electronica. Definitely. It's amazing. And I just can't wait till it catches fire to the complete mainstream. I just think it's a matter of time, but it certainly is exciting times for it, for sure.
Well, it's supposed to be that EDM music is now, EDM is electronic dance music, and it rules at the Coachella Festival. And I've heard that's the main music in America now. It's hard to believe because I'm not, that's what they're saying, the people that are in the music realm. But anything can be, just about anything can be classified as EDM because it's a lot of the hip hop music is all electronic, coming out of a keyboard. A lot of the pop music and popular music all coming out of the keyboards and programs. But people don't realize that. Probably even country music, you know.
Yeah, and I think there's an exciting new wave of genre. I mean, not only yourself, but others coming along that do a hip hop style of what you do, or do a variation. You maybe a kind.
Yeah, you just blinked away, Larry.
It's like a cosmic sound to it.
Yeah, I do kind of like to have a cosmic sound to mine. I'm working on about 6 songs at once, and between the Pleiadian songs, to take a break and do something different, I started working on this sort of cosmic hip hop song where I'm singing it. And and I posted one. It's not hip hop type. Not, I mean, when I put these classifications on it, it's not truly hip hop like we think of hip hop. It's AlienTribe hip hop. But there's one song on my Facebook that I don't even know how I would classify it. As the creator and artist, I don't always know how to classify my music, but my music publisher has to have a classification. So when I'm done with an album, I have to fill out this 10-foot long spreadsheet and rack my brain trying to think, oh, how is this classified? And then I have to do subcategories, the category, the genre, the subcategories. That's very difficult. Those are just worldly terms or names for the creation that you're creating, but people need to have it to know what they're listening to or something. You know, what genre it is or whatever.
Yeah, it is really key to do that. And I mean, I think you do a great job of it, and you know, eventually it won't have to be that complicated, but yeah, I mean, I think it's a great thing.
Yeah, it's fun. Music can take me away from, everyone needs to have that certain thing that they can just tune out and relax. And whether it's going into the forest or going out to a club or a nice dinner or to the beach or the ocean. And for me right now, it's making music, and it can just take me totally away. And we all need that. So many people are just hurrying, scurrying to some job, forever bound, and they may not even like their job. I'm not sure most people like their jobs. But unfortunately, on planet Earth, we have to work for money. Even I have to work for money, which is a struggle these days because this is all I'm doing. I've given up any normal sort of work and just trusting and believing that the work that I'm doing in music and the writing, the Pleiadian writing or whatever I'm doing is going to help feed me, as you probably are doing too, and a lot of people are doing. And sometimes that takes a leap of faith. And then there'll be people that come along and say, well, the truth should be free, or even music should be free. Everyone's just taking the music and they don't want to pay 89 cents for a song, but it may have taken me 2 months to make that song or longer.
Yeah, I think that's that's really like one of the, frustrating parts of some of this is you're exactly right. And I'm hoping people are coming around eventually, but yeah, it's exactly, it's like they think it should be given away for free, but I mean, do they get everything for free? I mean, and it's funny because it's not really asking much at all. I mean, you're not talking about charging them $50 for an album that's got 2 songs on, or a CD that's got 2 songs on it that are good. It's just people, you know, and I hope that we'll be seeing less and less of that. But it's just people come along and really sometimes I used to get real flipped out about it, and I'd think, "Are you really serious? Come on."
Yeah, I know. Well, it can be discouraging, especially if you see our fellow people in the groups. Like when you've posted a couple of my things, and we're all excited about it, like music or the book, and somebody says, "Oh, I thought the truth was for free." Well, do they know? They know you've given up work. You may be starving, and I'm starving now. I need to do work, but I'm giving up work, and I know you're giving up, to bring something to people. But as it is now on this planet, we're in it's a dense world that we're in, and we try to make the best of it. It's not one of the lighter realm worlds like where the Pleiadians are, where everything is love and light and easy, and people get along and they help each other, and somehow you don't have this thing called money. It doesn't exist. And but in this world we're at a lower frequency. That may sound discouraging, but that's the way it is. But we are beginning to transcend every day. I mean, just look in our lifetime, how things have changed, and the awareness. Like even 10 years ago, people thought I was really weird for the Pleiadian stuff. I got made fun of. 15 years ago, 20 years ago, I could feel embarrassed, and I had people saying, or even family members, "Oh, you talk to aliens," and 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 so to give up a normal life, that's what I was texting with you saying, I just want to be normal.
Yeah, really. I mean, and at the beginning, to touch on that real quickly, is some of us make that mistake in the beginning too, of being real excited about that contact that we may or may not be having and brag about it. And, our family or people are like, oh, and they're like,
lost her mind.
You got issues. Yeah.
Yeah. It can get bad. In my last marriage, it got so bad, and I just, especially when you first, it's like you get lit on fire. I did it when, as a born again Christian, this thing happened to me, and I was so excited, and I go around bothering everybody, trying to save everyone. And the same thing in this realm. I see what happens to us. It's like a spiritual evolutionary leap. No matter where it's at, as humans, we're going to have our leaps, and we leap into new awareness. But we're so excited about it, and we're trying to tell everybody about it, and sometimes they can think we're crazy. And that's why it's so wonderful to find others that also are leaping into that place. And it's amazing, the Pleiadian place, the groups, and the ones that you've started. How many offshoots are there now?
There's like 27 regionals, probably another 10 offshots, maybe altogether. And it's just, that's the most amazing thing about it, though, to go back to what you said, is the connection. Yes. I mean, meeting other people that think that way, that have had at least, worst case, 80% same scenarios you have in life, maybe 100. And it's just really, the intricacies of it is amazing. And it's just really so... I never cease to be amazed by it, and it really takes a lot to amaze my cynical self sometimes. But it's amazing.
Yeah, it really is, and it amazes me because I've been doing this for almost 20 years, and to compare what's happening now to then, and how far people have come in their thinking. And I think I keep meaning to mention about the alien way of thought or thinking that depending on where we are at in our evolutionary process, there are people that think strictly in the physical, that an alien is an alien, you see them or you don't, but it's a real being. And that's what I thought when I first started writing that book. And it's not always like that. They're so evolved, so way beyond that they can work within the layers of our consciousness. They can work within realms. They can work in places that we can't go or see yet. Some of us do, though. And I realized that during the process of writing that book, that what I was calling an alien or aliens was actually myself far into the future. And I was the alien. And it was just, now this leads me to trying to explain my concept of time. And I've done a lot of workshops, especially when I first started all that. I did a lot of workshops up and down the West Coast, New York and DC. And I'd always start by drawing it on the whiteboard or chalkboard, a circle or a line. Okay, my concept of time, I think a lot of people know this, but some people can struggle with it, that time doesn't exist. We make up time. We make clocks and watches and calendars, and we construct time. That's why I can be so bad with time, because I have to remember the construction of it. Oh, yes, this time, it happens at this time or that date. Oh, what date was that? Because it's not real. It's based on our calendars, and our calendars in the Western world were based on Jesus, of all things, and time. We've had to gather time so that we can try to be organized here on planet Earth and function and go to work and get up and get the kids off to school. But it doesn't really exist, and it goes on and on. Imagine a circle or a line, just an eternal line, however your mind wants to imagine this. And imagine a bus, and you're on the bus, or we're all on the bus, and it goes around the circle, around and round, or the line. It just keeps going, and we keep getting off at the bus stops throughout time, throughout eternity. Well, it's frequency. The line or the circle is frequency, and we're frequency, and everything is composed of frequency, and we blip in and out at all the different time levels.
Mm-hmm.
And so people talk about reincarnation, but I tend to go into the future and bring the future back, like this music. When you talk about it, what do you say, 22nd century music?
22nd century cosmically cool. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Well, I am in the future bringing it back, because I tend to not live in the past. And I'm really much older than what I appear or even look like or seem. I use hypnosis also to keep myself as young as I can while I'm here on Earth, so I can do all I want to do.
Yeah. Hey, speaking of that, I won't give up your earthly age on air, but my goodness, I mean, yeah, it's amazing. Yeah, you really do. It's totally alien, as good as you look. I mean, I mean that like not as good as you look for your age. I mean, you look a lot young.
Yeah, that's what I'm told, like 20 years younger or something. But I've been doing
40.
Yeah, I've been doing hypnosis for maybe 30 years, and I've always used it to help me with the physical and the mental and the spiritual. But it's especially good with the physical to keep ourselves. I mean, we have to eat healthy and exercise, but hypnosis, it all starts with the mind. Everything starts with the mind. anyway, so hypnosis gets down to the subconscious mind. It gets to the real root of where we all begin. And so it's very effective in what it can do, even with illness or keeping us young, or you can just do anything if you can get that far into your mind. So I started out in my 20s using self-hypnosis. I moved to California during the hippie time from Washington, D.C., and I got to California, and it was so far out, man. Everything was happening out here in California, and I learned about all these strange, weird things. And I'd go to the library, and I'd get stacks of books. This was before the internet, and get books on hypnosis and reincarnation and all these things. Coming from D.C., it was very conservative there. So I learned how to do it myself, and so I did self-hypnosis all those years and recreated myself. And then much later on, at a much later year, I actually, when I wasn't shy anymore, I used to be super shy. I used to think I was the shyest girl in the world. But later on, when I got over that, I actually went to school and learned how to do it for a profession and help other people with it. So I've seen some amazing things, not only with myself, but with other people. But even apart from using the word hypnosis, if we realize the power of our own minds and realize back to this circle or this eternal circle or this eternal line that we're just a blip in time. We reside here, but we also reside at different points in time. And we can, some people have memories from maybe the past, and I have a couple of those, but also we can have memories from the future. Also, we can go back to our past little boys or little girls and help ourselves there. And we can, yeah, I heard you take
Lia, have you ever, sorry to interrupt you, but have you ever done a hypnosis like what you're talking? Have you ever done a hypnosis like what you're talking about, or would you be willing to do one? I like the idea of what you're talking about the blip in time. It would be great if you did, or if you have one, if you could.
Oh, you mean like, no, I don't have any recorded, but do you mean like go, like regression hypnosis, or go to wherever you go?
Go to wherever you go. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, I've done a lot of this with clients, and it's kind of amazing. I had one lady, and I don't tell names or anything, but just a little of the story. I almost wrote a book about her. Would have made a great book. And when she first started coming to me, her sister had to bring her, and they both were Mexican. Living in Southern California, we have a wonderful, lovely, huge Mexican population, and they're wonderful people. So her sister had to bring her to me because she was so shy and afraid she couldn't speak. And then after some weeks, pretty soon she didn't need her sister anymore. And I would do regression hypnosis, which is pretty involved and can take a couple of hours. It's very tiring, not only for me, but maybe for the person that's happening to, because they discover so much. Well, it turned out she was the only one in her family that really liked to cook Mexican. You know, they all were pretty well Americanized, but she still retained some old Mexican traditions, and they could never quite figure out why. But in her regression therapy, hypnosis sessions, she started talking about she was a little girl in this town in Mexico, and very poor, and her mother had to work and would leave her there, and she didn't have enough food. And she mentioned a church, and she mentioned all the tiniest details down to the tiles of the church and the, what do they call it in the Catholic religion? The priest. And so her family got so excited, they took a trip to Mexico, and this town really existed. and the church really existed, and everything she talked about really existed. And they had never been there before. And so during the course of her sessions, which went on for some months, she was actually cured of the problems she was having in this lifetime. She had a husband and 3 children, but she could never go anywhere with them. She could never go even to like a McDonald's. She was too afraid. The world, she had just come in too fast. She had died, I think a tragic death, and just came back really fast and hadn't adjusted yet, because all that stuff was still there. The people were still there in this Mexican town, and she was still there, but yet in this life. So I've seen proof of all this myself, and but I've also had people go into the future, and I had one teenage girl suddenly start crying and crying. I said, "What's wrong?" And she was a wolf and her wolf pack, and one of the wolves got killed. Oh, and it was just tragic. And the things that, and the places that people go. I just have them float around and float around. I don't tell them where to go. And so that's one reason why I firmly believe, not only in my own feelings and how I can see it in my mind, that time doesn't exist, that we are blipping in and out throughout time because it's all frequency, but because of the hypnotherapy sessions that I have actual proof of people and seen what they have seen and experienced, and going back to Mexico, and it's all there, what's coming out in their session. So it's pretty amazing, this reality of ours. It's a whole lot more than we think or know.
Wow.
And that's why
that sounds amazing.
That's
amazing.
Yeah,
it sounds more intricate than I would love to watch you do some, like Dr. Bruce Weiss, or some of the people that I've admired that do regressions. Yours sounds so intricate, past, present, future, just amazing. I'm just getting chills thinking about it. Wow.
Yeah, because I think a lot of people just focus on the past. They think reincarnation, the past, and because they don't have a concept of that time is eternal, and it just doesn't exist in the past, but in the future too. And I really tune into the future, and you can hear it in my music. And the whole Pleiadian thing for me is my future, what I'm bringing back here from myself there. And I used to be more open about it and be out there all the time. And you probably know, as I've told you, I'm much more private these days. I've been going at it for a while, and the music can bring me calm and peace. And I tend to sort of work in the background now and just put out my music, or if I write anything. And I've just done a lot of, like I told you, the blogs for my new music that's going to go on my Pleiadian.net. But as far as interacting with people, I can often feel I'm a little worn by now. I'm not really 40. I'm older, and I've done a lot in life and experienced a lot, and I need this time of peace to create. And so every now and then you see me jumping in the group and doing something, but it's like I can't stay and keep on and on.
Yeah, you're doing work for humanity. No, I totally feel it, and I think everybody needs to get in that creativity flow, whatever it is. And yeah, totally. I mean, you're still doing your part as much as anybody, and if not more. I mean, it's exciting times that we live in, and yeah, I can't wait to see what's next.
Yeah, and and everyone is doing what they're doing. They're doing their part, and in the groups, it's so lovely to watch what everyone is posting. Everyone is doing what they're supposed to be doing, whether it's meaningful, beautiful pictures or words on the pictures, and whatever everyone's doing. But yeah, for me, and people need to socialize and talk about it. I think especially when you're new into it, it's so exciting. You just want to talk about it with others. You have to have validation. And there's so many people that come into the group, and I see them in this group, the Pleiadians, it's just called Pleiadians on Facebook, isn't it? And so many, we approve every message that goes on there, because as we know in the beginning, you get a lot of trolls, and so we had to go to approving. But with 20 admins, we approve them pretty quickly. And very often I'll see some desperate people, they really need to reach out and get answers and know that they're okay and that there's others, or why is this happening to me, or why is this going on. And I know what that feels like, because we've gone through it. We all go through it. And then as we gain more awareness and understanding, and talking to other people helps. So there are people that need to talk to other people. And I can feel bad, because I see so many people that need to talk, and I just can't talk to everyone anymore. And I'm on Twitter. I've got a Pleiadian Twitter feed, and on my websites and the big group, and besides on Facebook and the music. So I really appreciate you, Larry, and all the other admins, and you've appointed, I think, most of the admins. You just have a special feeling and knack for knowing just who can do a good job, and I really appreciate everyone that's helping there, including all the members that contribute. And maybe one day I'll give up that group and just go all the way into writing and music or whatever, and you can have it. But I'll bequeath it to you or something.
Sorry, I'm cutting in on you. Our energies are overflowing.
Oh, I know that.
I was just going to say real quick, Lia, though. Yeah, it's really gotten to the point where everybody's got something to offer, whether it's meaningful words of wisdom, a poem, a song, a story, a post. And there's something for everybody. There's several different discussions going on within the group, and I feel like it's just becoming one bigger, Pleiadian community in general. And there's something for everybody, but yet everybody to mesh together.
Yeah, that's true. And there's like when I was when I was a Christian, I mean, I really went all out. Whatever I do, I really go 100% out and do it. But as a Christian, I knew the Bible inside and out. I'd taken lots of Bible courses and did classes at the Bible Institute, taught lots of Bible studies. And one of the big things was in the Bible, it talks about everyone is a part. And it's the same thing with anything. Like in the Pleiadian realm, we're all a part, like a big body. There's an arm and a hand and a finger and a head and a brain and a heart. And we all fit together and make one big body that's cohesive and makes sense. And if we only had just all arms or all heads or all legs, it would be lopsided. So as long as it's all good and positive, and that's what we've really worked and strived for there in that group, for that particular group and many others, that because there are people, as we know, that want to just come in and disrupt and laugh or cause problems. That's what they may be there for. But I think we've caught on pretty quick, and they're gone. And it used to be in the old days, I had a message board long ago when I had my lialight.com. I had a message and a chat board just when they were all new. I mean, and I don't even think there were that many females online. I used to carry my laptop on planes traveling around. Everyone just stare at me. This was like in the late 90s, early or 2000 or something. But I learned back that I went through uh, a lot of grief and sadness, and people would come into my message board and attack me, literally attack me. And that back then you couldn't delete and ban. And this was my own message board. I had coded it in and chat room. So, but there was no delete or ban buttons. And this one group came in, and they were back then called skinheads. And my name, Lia Shapiro, sounds Jewish because I married a Jewish man and took his last name, Shapiro. But I used to think I was half Jewish, but I just got a genetic testing done, and I'm only 20% Jewish. So I'm having an identity crisis. But but all my life I thought I was half Jewish. But anyway, they continued to attack for about a month. It was horrible, and calling me a Jew lady and saying, well, she's not half bad looking. Really bad stuff. And it really stressed me badly to where I had to give up the message board and the chat board. I'd had it for 5 years, and I had to give it up and stop it. That was the only way, because I got afraid that they would actually come after me and find me. It was that bad. So that's why, and I would try to make sense and argue and reason with them, but there was no reasoning with them at all. The attacks just grew worse. So these days, I don't even do that anymore. Like I've told you, it's just delete and ban. And I have a sense when it starts, I know what they're up to. And I'm not even going to go there because I know what you're going to do. And because I've been through that. But I'm so happy that we just, for a group that size, we really flow really nicely and smoothly with very little blips these days. And
yeah, definitely so. I think you're right about, we just spot the troublemakers, and it's not about a judgment thing, but I can feel that energy right away. And, I just don't hesitate to get rid of them and tell they're on that growth path where they can handle a group like that of that high of a vibration,
Well, they don't even want to. Some people just come along to make fun of or cause trouble. Or they think late one night before the group, when the group still had smaller numbers and no one else was there, but this lady was there, and she was suddenly trying to cast Lucifer out of me. And it was horrible, but I was trying to reason with her. And I know the Bible pretty well. I knew it better than she did, which I think surprised her. And so I would just quote something from the Bible, since she was supposed to be a Christian, but she was one of those Christians where they'll burn you at the stake. She was trying to do that. And no matter what I would say, even from the Bible, trying to speak her language, she was casting Lucifer out of me.
Yeah, we've got to find that thread.
No, I ended up deleting and banning her forever. I can't even remember what her. Yeah, that was quite a thread. I mean, that was.
That was a career humdinger. Yeah.
No, no one ever saw. I don't think anyone ever saw that, but it's a good thing. And that really taught me, just don't even go there. Don't try to reason with people, because if you lean that way, I look at all the strife in our world. The Muslims and the Christians killing each other. No one can understand the other one. That's the way our world is. And the Pleiadians are out there hovering. And I didn't used to think they were really going to come and save us, but it's not that they're going to really come and save us, but we're transitioning to that level slowly but surely, and we will be them before we know it, and there won't be all that going on. But when we look, so people tune into the news, and of course the news is all negative, and it's intentionally negative to put fear in us, and it's fear-based. And we can think things are so bad, And I have a feeling maybe it's not quite that bad, although it is a dense world and a bit dark, but we still don't get the good news. Imagine if there were news shows and broadcasts that only told us the good stuff and how it would change all of our mindset and things would start being better.
Yeah, and you know, Leah, too, and they don't even talk a good game anymore. It's even the fear stuff is the same, played out time and time again. You know,
Mm-hmm.
fear stories, you doing this, doing that. And, you know, then again, too, I've seen small flashes in maybe somebody I got on the radio or somebody on in 3D like that or whatever. And people, the people are starting to get it. Not quick, not nearly quick enough for me, I know, but people a little bit, but still, it's like there's still that whole world of illusion, the elections, the wars, the things
Yeah.
you would hear on the news. It's so different from the consciousness level and say like the people that are in, you know, in the mothership group and groups of like mind and people that
Mm-hmm.
think like us, you know.
Yeah. Yeah. It's I'm I'm looking at the in the group. What group is this in that this event that you announced it in this? And I'm looking
It
at what
was
George.
Oh, sorry. It was done on the Pleiadian Express Productions page. It was
Oh,
created as an event through there. Yeah.
yeah. I'm going to mention George Myler. He's so neat. He said he's laughing. He says, "I know my Bible too better than them." So I'm going to go, "Yay, George!" And 'cause George is a cool guy. He's
You know,
always there.
your Bible knowledge, what do you think of Eric von Daniken, and have you ever read Chariots of the Gods? And if you did, what did
Oh
you think of it?
gosh, yes, I read that back when it came out. When was that? It's old.
68 it came out. Yeah.
Oh no,
1970 in America.
no, I didn't. Yeah, I didn't read it quite then. It was probably the '80s that I had the books, and I was just blown away because the proof, and he had pictures in his books, and it's true. I've lived all over the world. I've lived in Iran. I've seen the pictures on the walls,
Mhm.
and in Egypt. I've been to Egypt. I've been in the pyramids, and I have the what do they call the? I have some pictures on my walls where it's obviously aliens uh, in their pictures, and that's what it's all the proof is all over the world. And these what are they not hieroglyphics? That's the Egyptian writing, I think, or is it that the pictures?
The pictures, but the cave writings, the landmarks. I mean, I mean, it couldn't be any more obvious everywhere if it hit you with a brick in the face. Though you're right, and it's
I
so
know, I
diverse
know.
yet so the same.
And
It's amazing.
even in the Bible and in Ezekiel, um, there are things in there that I never heard in church during my church going days because they're not explainable. And in Ezekiel, it's so obvious. It's saying there's this round thing up in the sky with roundabout windows, and
Mhm.
the voices bellowing out, "Oh, what is it, son of man or man of son or something?" I can't remember exactly all the correct wording. And the man falls down to the ground and he's worshiping. I think some gods, what they thought of as gods back there, were actually people from other worlds.
Yeah, I totally agree. That one and the Book of Elijah have always done it for me. I totally
Oh
agree with
yeah.
the book, you know, of Ezekiel, and I think, you know, of course, I've gone into this on other shows, Sodom and Gomorrah. I think we're in a nuclear war, and of course, I have other
Mm-hmm.
theories too. But I'm sure that really bridged the book. Sure, bridged a lot for me. You know, closed that gap, and you
Mm-hmm.
know, Noah's Ark was probably a ship with two of every DNA sample left to sail over, not two of every actual animal. I mean, who
Oh
knows? You know.
yeah, yeah. There you go. Yeah, DNA. Yeah, it's so obvious all around the world with the pictures that have ancient pictures that have been left behind and the writings, and but yet we overall humanity chooses to ignore what can be seen or has been seen with the eye, just the pictures that have been left behind.
Yeah, and why is that? Yeah, why do you think that is, actually? I've always wanted to know that. I mean, is it something, I know people are scared of
They are
ETs or
scared.
that stereotype, but it's something innately too. It seems like it's more than that, and I've never been able to quite grasp it, and maybe you can help me with that.
I think people are afraid. I've had people in my family be afraid and they don't want to go there. So I'm assuming the whole general population. But being in the work that I'm in and for a long time, it's amazing what people have told me, that a lot of people, they experience strange things, weird things, but they are not necessarily open with it. They may not even tell their friends or family member because people would think they were crazy. And I know this because of the normal people that I've known when I was taking vocal lessons here. I've had about 4 years of vocal lessons. I had a regular, ordinary teacher. She taught many in the business and had been in the business. Seemed like a perfectly normal person, but we became friends, and we'd go out to lunch every now and then. And she knew what I did, and I'd given her a copy of my book. And so one day at lunch, she'd brought some paper and a pen, and she took it out. She said, "Lia, I have to tell you what I see and what goes on with me." And she furiously started drawing alien figures all over the paper and describing everything, all this that happens to her. But she'd never told a soul. And so I've encountered this a lot. And a friend once brought another friend to me, and he was pretty well known in the business world and in Hollywood, and known as a normal person. He had never told another soul, not even the friend that had brought him, but he wanted a hypnotherapy session to see why he couldn't remember everything. And he started telling me some astounding things, that he had actually been abducted. He told me all these details on the ship and what they were trying to make him do, but he was refusing. And they told him, "Well, we're just going to eliminate your memory." And he said, "No, you're not. I'm going to remember." But he said they did manage to eliminate some of his memory, but he came to me so he could remember the rest. But even hypnosis wouldn't help because they really managed to eliminate some of his memory. But all that he remembered was astounding. But he hadn't told anyone. He was a known businessman, had millions of dollars.
Yeah.
And so many people, when I've done workshops, everyone's all silent. And then after it, I've had people take me in the back room and say, "I'm really a hybrid. Look at my ear. Look at this," and start telling me these things.
Well, what or who do you think it was that had done that to him? I mean, or does it matter? I mean, what was their agenda? Whoever, whatever beings did that to this.
He didn't seem to know who they were, but he described them. He described a tall, beautiful female, but he also described beings, the helper beings that it did sound like the Greys, but he didn't know anything about anything like that since he was a normal person. All he knew was that there was a flashing, blinding light, and next thing he knew, he was on a spacecraft with this, and they just wanted to check him out. They wanted him to get on a table, and they wanted to examine him. They weren't hurting him or anything. They wanted to take all his clothes off and see, what is this? What is this? and because they were curious. But then when he came back, and he didn't really remember how he came back, he always felt the need and the urge to help people with all of the money that he had. And so he owned a lot of businesses, but he also wanted to build state-of-the-art hospitals where alternative healers could heal, and really heal with other ways rather than traditional doctors. So it affected him in a way that was for good, and he had a lot of money that he used for good. So but all these stories that I've encountered with people. So I know not just with myself, but I know it's gone on. With myself, I always focus in the positive realm of thoughts because, and there are people that have bad experiences, and I really don't even want to go there or talk about it or think about it, because my belief is whatsoever you think is what you will bring into your reality. Even to discuss it with someone else, and I don't want to bring anything that's not for my highest good into my reality. So everything, my world feels good, and whatever happens and what I bring in is good. And whenever I write or do music, I'm totally focused on the good in this universe.
Wow, that's so beautifully put. Lia, a question comes to mind. Have you ever done any astral traveling or experiences with that? I mean, in the vastness that you've done, I mean, I'm sure you have, but like, has it ever been something that you've been through a period where you've concentrated on it, or do you have any experiences with it that are noteworthy?
It feels like I have, but I consciously can't explain or describe it. But I believe we all go to other places because we are in other places. And I do, like, it can seem like a dream, but it can seem real. And then I've consciously, using hypnosis or meditation, have just gone off, and I see what I see and experience. I've had, now way back in my hippie days when we didn't know about drugs. I don't often talk about this because it was back then, and I moved to California, and someone handed me someone handed me this little orange pill, and it was called Orange Sunshine, the most potent LSD of all times, from what I've read.
Mm-hmm. Yes, it is. And you can talk about it, by the way. The statute of limitations have probably ran out.
Yeah, I think they've run out. I think they ran out. But you know, in ancient cultures and indigenous cultures, they often use mushrooms or whatever to get into these places. Not that I want to condone all of that, but whatever happened to me, it from what I learned later on, it's called cosmic consciousness. I even have a book called Cosmic Consciousness, and a lot of poets, Walt Whitman, and so many people that we know about that wrote or became famous, experienced cosmic consciousness, or it could be like a near-death experience. And for some reason, I've had people tell me, well, it wasn't really the LSD, you just went there. My mother would say, you experienced cosmic consciousness. In other words, I saw the light. I physically, actually, somehow, or internally or externally, saw the light, and I became light, and I had a light guide with me, and this changed my whole life.
Yeah, and in years past, you could a couple times have taken it back in those.
Yeah, but I was. It's like
Yeah.
Wait, sorry, you blipped out. I'm sorry if I seem to talk over you.
No, it's okay. It's okay.
It's a
Go
blip.
ahead. No,
It's
go
a
ahead.
blip.
It's a blip in time.
And I'm not hearing you.
Okay, I was just going to say that, yeah, I mean, definitely. And I'm sure that the LSD, especially taking it, back before a lot of people had the mass awakening. I mean, it really, a couple times could really get you in touch with the light, really. And I'm not condoning it either or anything, of course, not that I would know personally. I've just heard a rumor that it does that. No, but yeah, exactly.
People also died. They would jump off balconies because you could end up outside of your body and didn't even know where you were. Like I could have died because all I knew is I was a golden ball of light going level by level through the cosmos with another light guide. So I don't know what my body was doing, and I was lucky. I woke up sitting in the sink, or I came out of it. I was sitting in the sink.
Mm-hmm.
But people died back then. I would never do anything. I'd never take anything now. But back then, yeah. But
Yeah, totally. I had taken some in, high school for a couple of years, and I couldn't imagine doing it now. I'm just lucky, like you probably feel. I'm lucky that I didn't do anything
yeah,
stupid like that.
I know, because you don't know where your body's going to end up or what's happening to your body. And I'm a whole lot more cautious now. But then this other light explained everything as we went level by level. And then I even saw Jesus appear in the light, and he spread out his hands and he said, see, this is where we all go. This is it. We're in the light. And it's not like, people think. And just a choir of angels. And it was so profound, it just made me cry. But it's like we traversed the levels, the layers, and went all the way to the top. And I discovered I was God at the top. We all are God at the top. So we go through, or we're humans here, and then there's the Pleiadian level, which I believe is the next level that we'll go to, and beyond them, and then there's angels, and at the very top of this layering is God. So there I came back down to earth, saying I was God. Well, I had just gotten married, and my husband's father was a fundamentalist Baptist preacher. So here I had just discovered I was God. And I sat there going, I'm God. And he smiled at me. He said, oh, no, no, you're not God.
Would have made a great reality show. So, yeah.
And it was funny later to think, I wasn't raised religious because my father was Jewish and my mother was not. She was a Gentile, and they never knew what to raise us as, so they didn't raise us as anything. And my father was an atheist as well, so I was wide open to anything. I could be God, I could be whatever. and so, but since then, it all has fallen into place. And even in my book, and when I delve into these areas, a lot of it comes from that, because it's like things were revealed and they just continue to be revealed. And these days I really stay kind of private, and I've probably told you maybe more than I've ever told anyone in an interview, and now the whole world's going to know.
Seriously, Lia, if I could backtrack a little bit, you mentioned the God thing, and I've been having this thought the last few months, and I've even expressed it on air, that you're right. When you get to that God level, it's like at that point, do we awaken to we're just all this one consciousness, and we realized it was all just all of us was us? I mean, do you know what I mean? The mind is so awakened that everything really is one at that level, and it's
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, and I think some people on this earth, like the mystics that spend 30 years, I need to drink some water. I live in the desert, and I keep talking.
Yeah, me too.
And,
yep. Not a desert, but
yeah,
salty coastal air here.
Yeah, we have no humidity here. It's 7% humidity most of the time, and no rain, as you know, in California. So especially here, we don't get rain anyway. It's a beautiful day.
I've heard it never rains in Southern California. Just a rumor, but yes, I've heard that.
Yeah, it's really not raining now, especially in the Palm Springs area, which is the Sonoran Desert. But it's beautiful. It's all planted in grass and flowers and palm trees. But it's
I bet it feels good on your bones. I can just feel my aching bones from living here on the coast. I bet it feels nice.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that's why I stay young too. Your bones don't ache when it's that dry. Yeah, it's true. But yeah, what you say about like we're all, when we attain that level, if we manage to attain that level while we're on Earth, and I think in India and places they do the yogis, and I'm sure some people do. But I think when we move on, when we blip out, we know what there really is. But then I think we'll blip back too. I think it's just eternal, but we're all in a sea of light. Ultimately, that's what I believe. and just a sea of light flipping around together.
But do you think as you, I don't move up the ladder, or part of ascension is, do you remember it all in different times, or is part of the thing where, like, when you're here on this journey, you only remember bits and pieces of these other, realities you come in and out of, or, or
Yeah. Well, I
I don't know
think
quite about that. Yeah.
different people experience their realities in all different sorts of ways. But I really think, like I was saying before, most people are not very forthright. They keep it to themselves. Like, look at all the people in the groups that we have everywhere, but you won't see most people talking about any personal experiences. They'll post really nice things and pictures and words, but for someone to really delve into a real experience that happened to them, because everyone's afraid everyone will think they're not normal or something's wrong or something. And if everyone, oh, I've just got a flash. If you started a group, maybe a secret group, where, or maybe you already have it, if people could go to a place where they could really tell their experiences, what really happens.
Yeah, we could definitely set one up.
Sure.
For sure. I mean, I'd be willing to do that. I mean, a lot of people, some people do tell their stories, but you're right, not a lot do. And then you just really triggered a thought in my mind, because I would usually think, well, maybe a lot of these people are just interested in the subject, but they haven't had necessarily an experience, but want to. Some people convey that, but yeah, I would love to hear from people, in a format where they felt comfortable, like a script group that you could contact myself or us about in private. And yeah, if you want to share your stories like that, or or in a private chat, definitely.
Or just, you wouldn't have to get involved, but people in getting involved with each other, like people helping people with these, where they're not crazy, things really go on with everyone. And it's, but they don't know it because no one tells anyone. They don't tell each other. And I know that because people have always told me things, but yet they're perfectly normal in the real world and they wouldn't say anything to anyone else. I had a recent incident in my family. My When my sister was younger and her son was a little boy, they were driving home in the DC area, and all along the highway, not freeway there, highway, UFOs were following them. And I don't know how many, but it was a sort of a fleet of them, followed them all the way home. My sister still talks about it, describes them. They got home and they were young. They went, oh, that's cool. And they went in the house and left their son out in the yard, and he climbed up on the shed and proceeded to watch these spacecraft going flying all around. And so that was years ago, and he's all grown up in his 40s now. And he's married and has 2 daughters, a nice Christian family. His wife's father is a pastor of a church, and she's very Bible believing. Well, recently she drove into her neighborhood, and he wasn't in the car. He stayed behind to do something, but she had her 2 daughters in the car. And lo and behold, there was a UFO craft right in front of her on their street where their house was, exactly the same kind that her husband had witnessed all those years ago. I've often heard that the aliens or the Pleiadians, they like to keep it in the family, which is true in my family. And so I don't know that I don't know if she believed his stories or not, but for that to appear to her, it turned her brain inside out. She didn't know what to think because that wasn't her belief or her realm. And a neighbor came running out, and the girls are just jumping up and down in the back seat. And it was a true physical craft down in the street, and then it just would zoom away, the blip just away, and then it was there, and then it was blip away. So but yet I didn't. That's all I heard, and I don't know anything else. And I think she's a school teacher and a Christian, and probably no one else knows about it. And that happens to people, however it happens, whether it's a physical experience or internal or ethereal or whatever. And people just aren't saying. But I think that would explain why we're getting so many in the groups. And on my Twitter feed, just thousands pouring in. And it's hard to get Twitter going. I've had a Twitter feed, my personal one, and for music for years, and I can't get it going like that. But the Pleiadian one, and someone runs it beside myself, but it just, people are pouring into that. So that explains it to me, that people are pouring into these groups because they know, but they may not say anything. They just are feeling it, or they want to see others, or they need to be close to it, or. But yeah, I think.
Yeah.
You're blipping out, Larry.
They will, talk about what they're feeling and talk about what they're seeing, and it's just amazing. It's really coming more into the consciousness of everybody. And you always wonder, this 3D, I don't know if this is something you've ever thought about, but like, I know myself and the other admins talked about how, the possible scenarios of how a disclosure could play out. And if it's just going to be small groups of people like are being contacted, until eventually it's in the mass consciousness, just all of a sudden, one by one, or if they're all ever being announced on television, or, those are kind of interesting things to think of too. I think sometimes the next couple of years, exactly how it's going to play out.
Yeah, well, I know what you're saying. I think it's a gradual thing, isn't it? Where more and more are coming out, and then just suddenly one day it's going to seem just like normal stuff, because more and more believe, and more are coming out. Like with everything else, like with certain groups of people, like the gay groups coming out more, where in the old days you wouldn't dare. And the only area where things are not doing so well on this planet are with the religions, with the Muslim and the Christians. And that's hard I can't even explain that.
That dark energy, it's like, that remaining little dark energy sure won't go away without a fight. It's just, it's crazy.
Yeah, I know. And that comes from being extremely rigid and so closed-minded that you can't see beyond the blinders that have been somehow wrapped around their eyes. Anyone that believes something so strongly, and it can be in any belief, or believing in anything in any way or anywhere, whether it's religion or like believing in aliens, if you push it on people that strongly, and then especially if you kill them and for not believing like you do, it's just wrong. It's just so wrong. And that's the dark, dense part of this earth, the limited minds that can't get past their own minds and beliefs to believe that anything else is right too. I think belief systems are good. I think it's whatever belief system people have, as long as it doesn't harm other people or beings or anything.
Yeah, and you always need to keep an open mind in every now moment you're in, and be a little bit flexible. And these old mindsets are so, it's almost becoming to me like, if it wasn't so surreal, it'd be comical. They just really see in tunnel vision. And you're right, whatever in the name of their belief, or whatever. And it's great to have a belief system. It really is, as long as in every moment you can operate out of love and understanding, and try to think every now moment through, and not use a preconceived notion to completely base your decision, even though your heart says another thing, you know?
Yeah, I believe that too. And if it helps you to be a better person, and especially also if it helps other people that you, but not in such a way, even, good Christians can really bother other people. I know I sure did, because I wanted everyone to believe what I believed. And
The Reverend Lia hour. Oh, I can see it now.
yeah, yes. I wanted everyone to be sure they were going to heaven and be saved. And I can't exactly explain this fervent behavior of people, how I think maybe it comes with just more life experience and realizing that people are different. When I was going through my Christian realm for a while there, we moved to Kenya, and on the way to Kenya, there was this guy in the airport in the African country of Liberia. We all had to stop in Liberia for a while, and we were talking. He also worked in the embassy where I was going to be working, and suddenly it was time to pray. He was a Muslim. It was time for him to pray. So he jumped up and he carried a little rug that he rolled out, because they pray 5 times a day, wherever they're at. Good ones do. And he went over to the corner of the room and spread out his little rug and did his praying and kneeling and everything. And I remember as a Christian being so impressed, going, wow, he's really doing what he believes and everything. So when I actually worked in the embassy, there was a Bible study, but it just wasn't the Bible. All the faiths in the embassy came together. We had Islam, Muslim, Buddhist, Christian, just about every conceivable religion was represented among all the people that worked there, which were from different countries or different beliefs. And it was then that I really started seeing that we're all talking about the same thing, because that's what we did there. But you would never see that in America, where it's just focused on a Christian group or whatever group, Muslim, whatever group you're in, where it's totally isolated from everything else. But because we all wanted that spiritual sustenance, and we wanted others to be with too, and that's how we managed. We all just came together and talked about our different, like Muhammad is the prophet for Muslim, and then Jesus for Christian, but we all knew that we were talking about the same thing. And so with my world experience and traveling, then I went on to Japan a few years after that, and it was always the same. And then Japan, Shigeko saying, "You are the light," and it's all about the light and the people that brought the messages. And in my book and on my websites, I have something I say, the Pleiadians say, don't make us a religion. I can feel like it's maybe people are going to make it a religion, but it shouldn't be a religion, because as soon as you get a religion going on planet Earth, you get these rigid thoughts going that everyone else has to believe like that.
Yeah, in reality, they're about as anti-Earth religion as you can get. It's totally not what they're about at all. And, and with all these different spiritual doctrines, it is all about, the true love. And most of them, if you read them right, tell the same stories too. I mean, that's just the way I look at it as well. Same thing.
Yeah. But I think it's real important that we all take bits and pieces of what we need from various sources, and we build from there what we are about and what we believe, and then we don't try to shove it down the throats of everyone else or behead them or anything, and we go peacefully and smiling along and believing what we believe, but yet we can come together in peace and love. And love is really the big, huge determining factor of it all. That's where it's happening. Love is the most important aspect of getting along and having peace and showing peace and being a peaceful planet. And so it's exciting to think of just all the groups on Facebook, and you have started all those groups, and then the big Pleiadian ones, and all these people, if they take that love and those peaceful ways and smiles to everyone they know and pass it along, that's why we're going to transition into the next level before we know it.
That's why they call it a star seed. I mean,
that's right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And this information, and take what resonates with you, and use it for your path. I mean, there's all kinds of teachings to be learned and to read about and to experience, and, take what resonates with you and use that for you, and go from there, really.
Yeah, that's one reason why I don't interact that much with people or in the groups. I've written what I believe and I put it down and what comes to me, and then I might put it out there, but I don't want to debate or argue or really get into it. I want people just, if it agrees with them, they can take that or pieces of it, but I'm not going to force anyone or make anyone. It's just I just put the stuff out there, and because back in my earlier days, all through my life, how we can get into all these big dialogues and
no, I was just thinking. Yeah, sorry to interrupt you, but you just read my mind, because, there was a time where I would want to get in there and mix it up and get into this big dialogue. And I've gotten to a point now where I don't want to do that, and I won't. I'll leave it there, maybe check back a comment here and there, but I don't want to go there with that energy of getting involved in it. I mean, I feel like, it's not something I'm into doing anymore, and it's there. If it resonates with you, cool. If not, cool, and whatever,
Yeah, I think we can just probably get tired of trying to do that as well. Yeah, you being the Leo, that I could imagine Leos are pretty out there, and how it could have been. But I think that's a good policy to follow for everyone, that we can talk about it, but yeah, I don't like the debating or maybe that could especially happen in person. I don't know so much. Although I don't know, I've seen things go on in the group.
There's no question about it that in small cases sometimes it's a healthy dialogue to have between people, as long, and no matter what, if it stays respectful and there's no insults, and it doesn't get too just too played out, then I think everything's fine with talking about these things. But who is anybody to question anybody else's experience or call them a liar, or anything? There's no reason to ever be negative in tone. I mean, I've never found one anyway on there, to be quite honest, unless provoked, which I can, being a Leo, get to have that done to me sometimes, especially a while back. And I mean, I mean, I would never think of insulting anybody, and we just don't need to put up with it.
Yeah, no, I know you're pretty amazing, being the Leo that you are, and all that you do and have done, and where it's all going and what more is going to be done. You're a big influence in the Pleiadian world, and getting a lot out from a lot of different people, passing the knowledge or the information. And light is information, if you think of it, just knowing about things, finding out about things, or awareness about what there is, and everybody contributing to that. And all of your shows really help with that, with all the contributions and people talking about what they know, and then other people listening in, and they go, yeah, I know what they're talking about, or I don't know what they're talking about. but pieces will resonate and some pieces won't, but it's all good.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, again, totally resonating. I was just talking about this the other day too. We'll hear something and then we'll file it away, and then we'll be talking to somebody else about similar experiences and whatnot, and then they'll say something and it'll trigger what we were thinking to click. And until that moment happens, we don't know why we had
Yeah.
stored that little bit of information away or why we, filed it away. But then it all makes sense. Ah, yeah. And it seems to be like that's happening on a more and more frequent basis.
Yeah, I think it is. I know it is. It's really just more and more. It's getting out there, and remarkably, it's happening on Facebook, and maybe started with that big Pleiadians group, and you had a lot to do, I think, with bringing people in there, and then starting all of the auxiliary groups. So I may be calling you boss pretty soon, Larry. You blipped away. I'm not sure you heard that part. Oops, I heard a gasp.
Everything that you've done for me and given me the opportunity to admin in that group. And it's just been amazing. Thank you so much. It's just been an honor. And I mean, I can't go on enough about it, but it would just belittle how I really feel about it. And I'm very appreciative, and I love the, direction it's going. I mean, it's, and so here we go on that journey. And I'm really excited too, about, your music, you keep putting new spins on it and new perfections to it. And, it's already really funky, and it just seems like there's something new coming all the time through consciousness. And really that's kind of the plea.
Wait a minute, I lost you, Larry.
No, I'm here.
Away. Oh,
I'm
okay.
here.
Yeah, I heard the last part, but yeah, I think, yeah, we both have a great appreciation for what the other one is doing. And if it weren't for you and all that you had done, I wouldn't have time to keep doing what I do. So you got it really going real well, and I don't even know how you do all that you do.
Well, people pay it forward to, a lot of great admins now that are, perfectly where they need to be at their, position in their growth path, and they're doing great. And it's just exciting to see them flourish. And that's just kind of what it's all about, is, making everybody look good and making the collective look good. And it's just really amazing. It's quite the network. I didn't, set out with the intention of making it this big network, but it's just really amazing. It's amazing to see. I'm amazed to see where it can go from here. It's about all I can really say about it. It's really humbling, actually.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah, and nothing's by accident. There's a plan and purpose and reason for everything. And I think when you came along, I just felt a great sense of relief, because I wasn't sure how I was going to manage it. This group, I sort of inherited it when it was about 1,000 people, and I was one of the admins, and then the guy that started it just left, and so somebody's got to take it over. But I think it was meant to be, and so I started. And at some point, you came along, and I think you've appointed all of the admins. Kathleen.
Along right after Thanksgiving of 2013, and the group only at 6,000 members then. And then when I became an admin, it was like 9, right on the verge of 10. And I mean, it's just been amazing to see, and that it was only at like 1 when you took it over. I mean, we're talking like 2 years probably.
I know.
Just amazing.
I know, it's just explosive. And
especially with it being a closed group, plus we've ironed out most of the trolls and the troublemakers. It's just really,
and you've appointed really good admins, so that's what keeps it running smoothly. And it's it is amazing, and everything that's happening is amazing. So we'll just continue on the paths we're going and look forward to where it all leads to. Larry?
Yeah, I'm there. The energies, it must be. I
think they're trying to tell us we're done.
Time to wind down the show.
I think so.
A thought came to my mind too. I don't know if it's something you can do because of your contract and whatnot. Have you ever thought about doing an online live concert of your music before? You know, just even something you shift from your home. I mean, you know, I don't know. That just came to my mind.
Yeah, I haven't thought of that. I haven't thought of that, but I will keep that in mind. Yeah, I can't. Once my songs are officially released by Sugo, I have to take them off SoundCloud. I'm putting some short versions on, and I'm hoping the copyright thing doesn't come down on me, because if I put the full song on SoundCloud, they automatically get deleted. Somehow the music publishers and labels can do that, and then I get the copyright notice. I can't put them on there because now they own half of my songs once they release them. But so I don't know about putting. Yeah, I would think just a live thing. Yeah, I'll have to think about that. A lot goes into making the music, but I'll have to give that some thought.
Yeah, that's what I meant, live, like an event. Yeah, just a live, you know, that's kind of what I had in mind. So yeah.
Yeah, I would like to actually. I'd like to actually get out there and perform. I would love to do the Coachella Festival, and I have a friend that just offered. He's forming a band. He said, "We can do it, Lia. You know, we'll all play the parts." I went, "Wow!" So that would kind of be amazing. But yeah, I'll think about that and see where that thought goes. It's a good idea. In the meantime, the music, for the people that don't know, the music, sometimes on Facebook I get called Lia AlienTribe. My music, the band is just me though, called AlienTribe. And I actually have a website, alientribe.com, where there's a lot of my music on there. The short clips, like 2-minute clips, because I can't put the full-length songs. I think I have a couple of full-length songs, but alientribe.com, and then of course Pleiadians.net for all the Pleiadian stuff. And we have the music there, the albums that can be clicked on, and you go to Amazon. I can do it that way. Amazon only has 30-second clips, which is barely enough to get into one song. So I'm hoping I can put short versions on SoundCloud with a link to Amazon if people do want to purchase it and download it. Because there's no way, which is a bit frustrating, that I can put the full songs. I can put, they end up on YouTube, but that's from the label. And they end up on YouTube. You can listen to them there. You can't buy them there. But I'll keep that in mind, Larry. Good idea.
Yeah, I was just kind of spacing out, relaxing your voice, realizing you just answered most of my last question, which is, you know, where can everybody find you on the wonderful world of the World Wide Web, the internet? You know, and I think you mentioned some of those places. Is there any, you know, other, you know, places that, you know, you might want to mention where they can find you on the internet, or anything else that you wanted to share with everybody? This has really been great. I so appreciate you coming on. And next time I won't be nervous. This is like the best interview I've ever done, but I've been nervous the whole time. And
well, I would never even guess that you're nervous. Never even guess. But no, you sound wonderful. You're a radio personality, whether you know it or not. You just have that flair. But I mentioned the book, and that's it. That's been online at Amazon or wherever you can buy books. I've even seen it on eBay, but they charge a whole lot on eBay. But Amazon, they changed the price on there, and that's comes the awakening, realizing the divine nature of who you are. And then it's all on my Pleiadians.net site, the book, most of the music, and then my music site, AlienTribe.com. And then I'm on Facebook as Lia Shapiro, and I have AlienTribe on Facebook. And the Twitter feed is, oh, let's see, it's Pleiadians Info. I think it's that. There's a purple triangle there, though, that's kind of my symbol. Or just Google Lia Shapiro, her Pleiadians. I'm always #1 on Amazon. I mean, Google or Yahoo, usually in Pleiadians.
Yeah, in fact, I've accidentally found you before.
Oh yeah, because I've been on there for so long, for so many years. They figure I deserve a #1 spot.
Leah's book. As far as Leah's book goes, I happen to know somebody who's got 2 autographed copies for sale. No, I'm just kidding. I wouldn't part with those or anything. But
if I ever really,
I ran into you the other day looking for a Pleiadians picture on just Pleiadians picture for some other thing I was doing, and your name just there. You were there. The book was.
Oh yeah, you'll see that because it's just been there for so long. So I need to get more books up there if I can get past the music. But yeah, I think just linked to almost 3,800 other sites, you have a way of kind of spreading out there when you've been online so long with something. So
yeah, you need to do more hypnotherapy and more music making and more book writing. Yeah.
Oh, I know. Yeah. Yeah. A few more clones and you too.
Exactly. All right.
Yeah. And then we'll be a crowd unto ourselves.
Fireside chat through this whole thing. And I wanted to let everybody know out there to wish them much cosmic love, prime creator speed, and all that good stuff. And you know where to find me on Facebook, or maybe not, but if you don't, you will. And a big dating game.
Did you say do they know your name, Larry Locken?